Hello, I'm Will, and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we're bringing you issue 25 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine, which came with another terrain piece, an Azyrite Fountain, for our battlefield. You can see how that gets built and painted up in the magazine overview, and then after that we'll be going into our battle report where we're learning some more of the core rules, including movement phase, command abilities. Having looked through the issue first of all we have some background on the Realm of Heavens, Azyr, which is where Sigmar resides. It is a breathtakingly beautiful realm, as it says. Vast glimmering mountains, stars, planets, all sorts of impressive sights. And unlike the rest of the realms, it isn't really tainted by chaos, because when the Age of Chaos began, Sigmar shut the gates to Azyr and basically kept it free from the taint of chaos. The greatest wonder in it is possibly the Sigmarabulum, which is a massive city built on the remains of a dead world by the gods in the Age of Myth. As it says, it is the place where Sigmar resides, from his throne in the Palace of Sigmaron. It mentions a bit about its realm stone called Celestium, and it also points out that no wars are fought in Azyr during the Age of Sigmar, rather it's more of a staging ground for Sigmar's retaking of the realms. There's some more background on the Collegiate Arcane, following on from our introduction to magic. So the Collegiate Arcane is the sort of council of wizards and battle mages, as they're called, in the cities of Sigmar, who deal with and advise on magical matters. They also assist on the battlefield where necessary, including with some of their fantastic war machines like the Luminarchs of Hysh, which channel the light of Hysh into a searing beam, and the Celestial Hurricanum, which is a sort of giant orrery type thing which helps channel the magic of heavens, both to damage the foe but also to aid in precognition and prediction. We have a battle record for your battlefield in Ulgu, wherever it's taking place in the Realm of Shadow, and you can roll on some tables to see what characteristics the region has. It mentions a bit about shadow magic, a sort of dangerous force, but offering great power to those who can master it. You can roll on a table as well to see where in the Realm of Shadow you actually are, and there's a map here so you can see where that is. And battle record for the Azyrite Fountain, our new terrain piece. Fountains common in ruined cities across the realms, could have been there for many hundreds of years, depending on how old the ruins are. Remnants of lost empires, you can roll for a bit of background. Yeah, and some more on the next page. And then its build guide, it goes together fairly simply, it's not that many pieces. So that was for the chest, and here's for the fountain itself. And then the painting, and we have a new technique to learn called dry brushing, which is a technique you can use to apply paint to just the edges of things to give them a bit more definition while avoiding the recesses. It works particularly well on textured surfaces, like the fountain. So the way to do it is to put some paint on your brush and then wipe almost all of it off on a piece of tissue or some kitchen paper or something like that until the brush is almost dry but just has a bit of pigment on it. You can test it, because if there's too much paint then it'll leave streaks. What you want is just so that when you flick it across the raised surface of something, it just leaves a bit of the colour on it. As you can see in some of these pictures, you can make light strokes back and forth across raised texture. On larger, flatter surfaces, you sort of use circular motions to avoid making too many brush lines. And then using it to paint the fountains, we start with an undercoat of Wraithbone and then an all-over shade of Agrick's Earthshade to make it look old and worn, with some Abaddon Black and some other colours there, but then dry brushing over the whole thing with Wraithbone again to pick out the raised detail and all of it over all the colours, because it provides a natural highlight to all of them. And then for the chest there's also some gold bits on the chest itself and the coins and stuff inside it. And then it's just using Mephiston Red to give it a sort of luxurious panelled exterior. And there it is, finished, all of the terrain pieces. This issue also comes with a fold-out insert with more background on the armies of Chaos. So this comprises a number of different types. So there's mortal warriors who worship the Chaos gods, some of whom become extremely powerful through the gifts offered to them. Also the demons of Chaos, which we've learned a bit about before, those creatures that represent the Chaos gods themselves as an aspect of their being. They reside in the realms of Chaos and break through rifts or when summoned. And there's also plenty of mutants and other sort of creatures like the Beastmen, the Skaven, and other things tainted by the powers of Chaos. And also a bit about the path to glory here, which is the path trodden by all Chaos champions. Basically ends in them gaining immortality as a demon prince or being turned into a sort of hideous blob of flesh called a Chaos Spawn if they invoke their god's displeasure. And the reverse is entirely photographs of miniatures, so there's a vast horde of Chaos in the middle led by Archaon the Everchosen, and then on the right hand side some of the sub-factions like some demons, the Beastmen, and the Skaven. But now I'll be handing you over to Mike. He'll be taking us through some more of the core rules and then into our game.
So we're back to learning more of the core rules. This time we're going over the movement phase. So it goes over normal moves, retreating and running, and all things we've learned before, so there's nothing too new here. However, there are some new things on this page. We have the 2 command abilities for the movement phase. So we have at the double, which is used after you declare that a friendly unit is going to run. And then that unit receives the command, and instead of making a run roll, you just increase their move characteristic by 6 instead of the usual d6. Even though the run roll hasn't been made, that unit is still considered to have run. Then there's also redeploy, which is used in the enemy movement phase. After an enemy unit finishes a normal move, run or retreat, the unit that receives the command must be within 9 inches of the enemy unit that made that move, and more than 3 inches from all other enemy units. And then that unit can make a d6 inch move, but it must finish the move more than 3 inches from all enemy units, and it cannot shoot later in the turn. Then on the next page it goes over the actual process of making a move, so this also includes charges and piling in the combat phase. Effectively, when you're moving a model, you trace a path over the surface of the battlefield to the destination, and then as long as the model can follow that path without going over the battlefield edge or over the bases of any other models, it can successfully complete that move. Obviously, units have to be in coherency at the end of the move. Instead of moving, you can choose to remain stationary, in which case the unit is not considered to have moved. And then we have moving with terrain. So models can move up and over terrain, you just have to take the vertical distance into account essentially. One exception to this is that units with fly, in which case you can trace the path of movement through the air essentially, so you can ignore the vertical distance. Flying models can pass across models as well. And they just fly over their friends, so you can see examples of all that in the picture down there. Here we have examples for at the double and redeploy. So we have at the double on this page where the loon boss is ordering himself to run really fast, so he doesn't need to make the run roll, just moves an extra 6. And on the next page we have redeploy, which is a little bit more tactical in its use. So it gives an example of it being used. So we have a unit of gut rippers advancing on the vindictors who are falling back. So it gives you some examples. You can pull a unit back using redeploy just to make it harder to charge them, or you can use a nearby unit to screen them. So you can see in the top example the loon boss is falling back from the praetors. Second example, the hogrot slitters are moving in the way of the praetors. Alternatively, you can also use it to try and snag objectives, or at least contest them. So you can see the knight or cannon there moving closer to an objective to defend against the killer boss. So in today's game, Fighters in the Fog, a choking magical mist has apparently been summoned onto the battlefield by mischievous shadow creatures or whatever else inhabits Ulgu. Both sides are going to have to try and make the best of it. So we have the Stormcast, the Alliance of Order with the Knight or Cannon, Guard of Steel Soul, 4 Praetors, 5 Vindictors and the Stormstrike Chariot, who are going to try and sort of hold out until the mist subsides, while the Alliance of Destruction, which is all Cruel Boys this time. We have the Killer Boss with Stabgrot, the Bolt Boys, the Gut Rippers, the Hogrot Slitters, and the Beast Skewer Killbow, who are going to try and use these mists to ambush the Stormcast force. So we have the 2 battle mats with a territory along either short edge as usual. Game is going to last for 5 battle rounds, all that kind of thing. There is actually a special deployment, however, due to all the cloaking mists. So we actually start with the destruction player, who we take turns placing the primal lair and our new fountain until all the scenery pieces have been placed. And then instead of deploying as usual, we instead deploy each other's territory. It does note a little bit about etiquette to ask permission before touching your opponent's models, or you can just indicate where you'd like them. And the signs of the storm battle trait may not be used for the Stormcast Eternals. They will have to be deployed at the beginning. But otherwise, the game lasts for 5 battle rounds, or until one player has slain all their opponent's models. If both sides have models at the end of the game, it's a draw. So we'll get the board set up and get into the game. So here we are, set up and deployed. Can't quite catch everything in shot because of our magnificent deployments. Can see all the terrain there. We have got the fountain and the new chest fairly close. Hopefully get some nice close-up shots of them during the game. So we'll go over the Stormcast deployment first, seeing as I deployed them. So the Knight Arcanum is down here in the bottom left, looking the wrong way. The Praetors are sort of in the middle-ish. And then near the top I've got Guard of Steel Soul right up against the board edge, the Stormstrike Chariot in the corner looking the wrong way, and a line of Vindictors obviously in marching formation. And here we can see some of the Cool Boys deployment.
So we've got the Gut Rippers right in the corner, all milling around there, the Hogrots out front, the Beast Skewer Killbow is right in the middle and they've set up point in the wrong direction. And then up at the top the Killer Boss is out front and the Bolt Boys are right over it. Now I do at least get to choose who the Praetors get to bodyguard, and they're going to protect the Knight Arcanum.
Yeah, so I'm rolling off for priority for the first battle round. On the roll off, I guess I'll go first, because if I go first I'll win the tie in the next battle round. Now I know the order I get to pick my dirty trick. So I'm actually going to pick Covered in Mud, because there is some cover nearby that the Killbow and the units can use. So I roll 3 dice on each 4 class, so I can have a unit covered in mud. Ooh, 2, so I'll pick the Killbow and the Bolt Boys. And then we're into Cruel Boys turn 1. So in the hero phase, get to do heroic actions. I have 2 command points because I went first and my general's alive, while the Stormcast have 3 because they went second. I'm going to do, I guess I'll just do heroic leadership. Nope.
No, I'll do that as well. Can I get another one? Oh, I do, so I'm up to 4.
Well, movement phase is basically just trying to consolidate into some sort of battle line. So the Gutripper boss issued at the double his units, so they could go the extra 6. Hogwarts also ran, only got 1. Killbow ran, almost got it in range of the yellow crystal. Bolt Boys ran, also got a 1, so they're going to be shuffling about the back for a bit. And the Killer Boss is just going to stay where he is now and try and rally all of the boys. But that's just going to be it. No shooting because everything ran. On to Stormcast turn 1.
My heroic action is to try and generate another command point. Yes, I do. I'm up to 6. I've no way to use them this turn, but never mind.
I'm actually going to do heroic willpower because I don't have any wizards.
So then I would try and cast a spell, which would be Mystic Shield, because nothing else is in range. Needing a 5, getting it with a 9. So the Killer Boss wasn't actually in range to unbind as it turned out, so Mystic Shield went on the Praetors, who ran to get up behind the fountain. So they won't all get cover because one of them isn't within an inch of it. I spent a command point for at the double on Knight Arcanums, made sure she ran 6 to get out of the corner. And then up at the top, everything else ran as well because the chariot couldn't get in range, so just reforming the Vindictors and moving the other 2 units up. No shooting or charging, so that'll be the end of my turn.
Yeah, and you can see at the end of battle round 1. So we're rolling off for priority in battle round 2. Oh, I won priority, so I think I'll go first, and we'll be into Crawl Boys turn 2. So, heroic actions, just going to do heroic leadership. No.
I'll do the same, getting it with a 4.
So in the movement phase, the Gutrippers are moving up normally, just to consolidate the line around the Killbow. The Hobgrot boss issued at the double to his unit, so they ran, got through that gap between the Crystal and the Killbow, form a line to get near the Bolt Boys. And the Killer Boss moved a bit, just so that he can cover both units with his aura, all part of the plan. Then in the shooting phase, the Killbow will shoot at the chariot. So the Killbow has 1 shot hitting on a 2, 6s do mortal wounds instead. Phew, it hit. Wounds on a 3. It did not. Bolt Boys are also in range of the chariot, so they'll shoot at it as well. 4 shots on 2s, 6s do mortal wounds instead. Ooh, they all hit, plus 2 mortal wounds. Wounded on 3s, 2 wounds at -1.
So 4s. Oh, made my third one, so 4 damage total.
It's down to 8. That's it, just softened up the chariot a bit. On to Stormcast turn 2. So heroic actions at the start of the Stormcast hero phase.
I will try and do heroic leadership again. Yep.
I'll try it as well, see if I can get one this game. Yay! Got a command point.
Try and cast Mystic Shield again. Yes. Put Mystic Shield on the Praetors, and then partway through the movement phase, move the chariot up to there.
Yeah, and then I'm going to use redeploy on the Hobgrots. I guess the Hobgrot boss will issue the command. Spend the command points. They can move D6. Ooh, 6. So there you can see the Hobgrots are redeployed and have formed a thin greeny-yellow line between the chariot and all my important units.
And then showing the rest of my movement, I used at the double on the Knight Arcanum, not issue it to herself, I suppose. Everything else also ran, forming up in line as you see there. And I'm going to shoot the chariot's bow at the Bolt Boys, so hitting on 3s. Oh, both missed. And then in the charge phase, the chariot will charge. It rolls an 8. So it will charge to there, into the Hobgrots. 8, so roll 8 dice and 4 pluses do mortal wounds. 6 mortal wounds.
So it runs 6 of them over.
So there's only 4 left, and I can roll all of its 9 melee attacks at once, because they have different ren, but they only have a 6 plus save, so it's not going to matter. Hitting on 3s. 7 hits, wounding on 3s. Yeah, they're all dead.
Goodbye, Hobgrots. And that's it at the end of Stormcast turn 2 and the end of the second battle round. We're running off for priority in battle round 3. Well, I won again. I'm definitely going to take priority. I'm going to Call Boys turn 3. I'm going to pick it's going to be the Killer Boss's finest hour.
And I'll do heroic leadership again because I've nothing else to do. Oh yeah, got another command point.
So only movement in the movement phase is the Gutrippers are going to move so they're just outside of 9 inches of the chariot, so it can't redeploy. Killer Boss and the 2 range units can stay where they are. So in the shooting phase, going to have another go with the Killbow at the chariot. We hit. Wounds on 3. We're wounded.
5 to save. Ren -2. Oh, saved.
And the Bolt Boys on 2s. And they will hit. And 3s. Getting 2 wounds.
4s. Oh, well, it does take 4 damage.
Into the charge phase, the Killer Boss and Stabgrot will charge. They're definitely in. And the Gutrippers will try and charge the chariot as well. Getting a big roll. No. So Morlek and Chariot Killer get into melee with the chariot once again. Mornek has 4 attacks with his boss hacker on 3s. 6s do mortal wounds instead. So there's 2 mortal wounds and 2 hits. These wound on 2s because this is finest hour. 1 wound, -1.
4. Oh, made it.
It's down to Chariot Killer. 3 attacks on 4s. Oh, he gets only 1 mortal wound. It's down to 1.
And then attacking back, we've got the axe attacks on 3s, getting 2, and winning on 3s as well, 2.
So yeah, 2 3 plus because this is finest hour. Made both.
And the griff charges also hit on 3s, they hit 5 times, and they wound on 3s. 4. And that's 2.
4 plus saves. Oh, made 2. Down to 4. Well, and that's it. On to Stormcast turn 3.
Now we're trying to cast Blaze of the Heavens with the Knight Arcanum, needing a 7. Ooh, get 7.
Yeah, we did Heroic Willpower for me and Heroic Leadership. So Heroic Willpower try and unbind with the Killer Boss. Oh, with an 8, yes. So in the movement phase, the Praetors have moved up, and I'm actually going to use that opportunity to redeploy my Gut Rippers. So I got a 2 on my redeploy roll, and I've just moved the Gut Rippers away from the Praetors, essentially, and around the Killbow.
And then the Chariot is going to stay in melee, because now the Praetors are very unlikely to make their charge. It will get to strike the Killer Boss first. Probably better than retreating and being shot without any further impact on the game. And everybody else has just moved up to the sort of skeleton. We'll shoot the Killer Boss in melee first of all with the Chariot. It hit twice. On 3s. It wounded once.
It's -1 with the bow, so 4 plus. Made it.
And then Gardas' Cloak of Hammers is in range of the Gut Rippers, so d6 shots, 4, which hit on 3s. 3 hits, wounding on 3s. They will wound.
-1, so 6 plus saves. No, so we'll lose a Gut Ripper and take a wound.
And I would try and declare a charge with the Praetors. It's very unlikely. I think a 10, but if they get in, it'd be pretty impressive.
So before those Praetors do get to charge, I would try and use Scare Shields on them. I know this happens at the start of the phase, but they're the only unit that's going to charge probably, so roll 2d6 and add 1, and I need to get 8 or more. Ooh, I got a 9.
Yeah.
So they have -1 to hit the Gut Rippers.
Well, actually, I guess thinking about that, I probably wouldn't declare this charge in the end.
Oh, right then.
Because that will technically happen first. It was the only unit they were going to be charged by anyway, and I don't really want to be at -1 to hit, because that will probably not do go very well.
Okay then. So finally onto the combat phase, where the Chariot gets to go first.
Axe only hits once, and wounds.
-1, so 4 plus. Made it again.
Well, the griff charges are better, although they only hit 4 times.
We might live.
And wounding on 3s, or they will wound.
Oh no.
-2.
5s. We made 3.
Oh.
Down to 3 wounds. Killer Boss gets to strike back. 4 attacks on 3s, 6s do mortal wounds. No mortal wounds, only 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, 3 wounds at -1.
Ah, we die. Battle shot test for them though.
Yep, and that's it for fighting. The Gut Rippers do have to take a battle shot test though. Maybe 5 and they lost 1, so they're fine. And that'll be it for the 3rd battle round. And we're rolling off for priority for battle round 4. While I'm on the roll off, I will go first again. So I'm going to do Heroic Recovery as my heroic action for my Killer Boss. I need to roll a 7 or less on 2d6. You.
And I'll try and do Heroic Leadership. No.
So the movement for my turn, the Killer Boss is going to move towards the Gut Rippers, so they're in range of his all part of the plan. And then shooting, and I'll do the kill bow at Garda Steel Soul, I suppose. So looking for 2 plus or a 6. Oh, we hit and didn't wound. The Bolt Boys are going to go for the Vindictors instead. Again, looking for 2s. So 3 hits, no mortal wounds. Wounding on 3s, 2 wounds at -1.
4s, fine.
And then no charges. On to Stormcast turn 4.
I'll try and do Leadership again. We get it.
Do Heroic Recovery again. Oh, we get it this time. Restore D3 wounds to the Killer Boss. 3s back to full.
The increased range on Blaze of the Heavens, thanks to being near a large number of Thunderstrike units, means I can hit the Bolt Boys, so I'm going to try. On 7. No, I'll be fine. So I've moved the Vindictors and Gardas around the terrain there.
Yeah, in response to the Vindictors moving, it's not going to impact Gardas' movement. I'm going to have the Killer Boss issue redeploy to the Kill Bow so it can get out of the way. Roll so we can see the result, because it might be important. Oh, only 1 inch. It's a big bow and a big rock.
And Praetors and the Knight Arcanum are coming the other way around the big skull. And then we have some shooting, actually. We could do Gardas. He'll throw hammers at the Gut Rippers 4 times again. They hit 3 times, and they wound 3 times.
6 plus saves. Oh, we made 1. So we'll still lose a Gut Ripper though. Right, start phase, I'm going to try and use Scare Shields on the Praetors again. Ooh, definitely this time. 12.
I'll declare a charge with Gardas, and I'll declare Saintly Assault as well.
So you can re-roll the charge roll.
Yep. Oh, he's in anyway. So Gardas will get to there. I'll declare with the Praetors as well. They roll a 5. Probably just enough, but they are a bit spooked. Yeah, 5 was the bare minimum. And then we'll go with the Vindictors. They should be in with a 10. And I also roll for the Arcanum as well, just if she gets a massive roll. Should get somewhere. No. So the Vindictors make it into the killer boss over there. And I will pick the Praetors to fight first, because they probably have the most to fear from return attacks. And then you have 13 attacks hitting on 4s, because they can all get in. Didn't roll any 3s, so the Scare Shields actually made no difference at all. 8 hits, wounding on 3s. That is only 4 though.
4 6+ armor saves for the Gut Rippers. We didn't make any. Oof. So I think I will pick the killer boss to go. Those Gut Rippers probably aren't going to kill Gardas. So 4 attacks with the boss hacker on 3s. Getting 3 hits, no mortal wounds. And 3s getting 1.
4. Oh, it does kill 1.
Yay.
So far.
And Knee Biter gets a hit, which does not wound.
I'll do Gardas next then. He'll pile in slightly now that the killer boss is not a threat, because it's already tied up over there. He gets 6 attacks because of Saintly Assault on 3s. Reroll that one. Oh, they will hit. And 3s. Oh, only 2. I find that wouldn't help that.
And 6+ armor. No, 2 more dead. 2 remaining Gut Rippers will just pile in a bit to maintain cohesion. We're still within 3 of the killer boss if he lives. And then we'll attack the Praetors, because you never know, we might drop one of them. 5 attacks on 4, 6s do mortal wounds. Well, we got 1 hit and a mortal wound. And the hit, wounded.
3+? Yeah, made it. So just 1 wound. And finally, I've got the Vindictors to attack, so I'll just pile in to get everyone in range. 9 attacks on 3, 6s do mortal wounds. So I've got 2 mortal wounds. And 6 regular hits that wound 4 times.
So we've got 4 pluses. Oof, down to 1. Wow, killer boss is down to 1. And the Gut Rippers lost 7, I think. 6 or 7. So they all failed their Battle test, but because they are within range of the killer boss, only 1 will run away. So even just the boss to fight all those Stormcast. Well, but that's actually going to be it for Battle Round 4. Priority for Battle Round 5. I won the roll-off, I'm going to go first. So, in my movement phase, the killer boss is going to issue at the double to the kill bow. It's going to run off into the corner. And then the Gut Ripper boss is going to retreat. And the killer boss is also going to retreat, so I can try and do a heroic recovery in the next turn. The Bolt Boys are going to stand and shoot at the Vindictors. 4 shots on 2s and 6s do mortal wounds. They all hit. Wounding on 3s. They all wound at -1.
Oh, we lose 1.
Right, and that's going to be it. No charges because we fell back and there's nothing engaged, so no combat. On to Stormcast 10-5.
So for my heroic action, it's Gardas Steel Soul's finest hour.
Yeah, killer boss is going to do heroic recovery again. Oh, and succeed. D3 wounds back. The 3 is back up to 4.
And at the start of the hero phase, I will also issue Rally to the Vindictors from themselves, doesn't really matter. So getting models back on 6s, we'll get 1 back. So we'll bring a Vindictor back over there. And we'll try and do Blaze of the Heavens. Unfortunately, we're not in range of the ranged units, but might as well. Oh, we'll finally get it. So it does go off. I'll put that on the killer boss, I think, to do D3 mortal wounds to him. All 3.
Back down to 1.
My Vindictors have moved like this, so that when the inevitable redeploy happens, I can try and cover as much of ground as possible.
Yeah, and then I'm going to have the Bolt Boy boss issue redeploy to his unit. See what the result is. Ooh, 5 inches. So the redeploy gets the Bolt Boys way into the corner of the battlefield.
And then the rest of my units move like that. I won't bother moving with an armor cannon. She could advance. Sorry, she could run, but she's not going to get in range of anything, so it's not worth it. So shooting, we'll try and finish off the killer boss with some thrown hammers from the cloak. D6 shots, 6.
Ooh.
Hitting on 3s, 4 hits. Wounding on 2s because it's his finest hour. Oh, they'll wound anyway.
So 4+ saves. 1, sorry. So Knee Biter dies immediately, so yeah. They are gone.
And the charge phase, well, all 3 units are going to charge, so I'll just roll them.
Well, the Gut Ripper boss can try and scare the Praetors. No, not quite.
And then their charge, oh, they get a 10. Only in range to attack the last Gut Ripper, unfortunately. The Vindictors, they will be in with a 7. And Gardas needs a mighty roll. Right, no, not that. We'll do the Vindictors first. We're going to put 6 attacks on the kill bow and 3 on the Bolt Boys, because I have to kill both of them to win. So on the kill bow, well, they have 5 hit, but they all have to wound and go through. No, only 3. So.
Right, he didn't die.
And Bolt Boys. Oh, I only got one hit anyway, which didn't wound.
And technically the Killbow it didn't make any of its saves. Since there's no casualties on the Bolt Boys and the Killbow didn't die, they're going to be fine, seeing as it's the last battle round. So this game will end in a draw, but we'll let the Praetors, technically the Gut Rippers, certain boss gets to fight back against the Praetors before they murder him. 3 attacks on 4s, 2 hits, and 4s, 1 wound.
I did a wound, and then I'll roll one of the Praetors. I only hit once. And wounded though. 6.
No. There you go. There's no point doing the hitbacks for the Bolt Boys. They might kill some Vindictors, but it's not going to change the outcome of the game. So this game will actually end in a draw. After all that, we'll recap the game for you now. So that was the game for issue 25 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. How do you think that went?
It didn't go badly as such. It was a draw. I did nearly manage to get you by the end, but I just sort of ran out of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you had won priority at any point, I think you would have won.
Yeah, maybe.
I was holding out for a draw.
Yeah, I mean, the Chariot didn't do too well. I mean, it did flatten an entire unit of Hobgrots, but that's not a great trade. But I could have retreated it and it might have survived. You would have been forced to shoot it then, so perhaps that would have been a better move. But
yeah, I was pretty much relying on my shooting, doing a lot of damage, and my Killbow did nothing. I think I only wounded once, and the Bolt Boys didn't do too amazingly. So yeah, it was kind of relying. Lots of redeploying kept me in the game, I think.
Yeah, the redeploying is quite annoying when you have a slow army like Stormcast, because unless you're right up next to something, then it can move away, and then your charge is really long. Like the Praetors would have faced with a 10-inch charge suddenly, because you redeployed even only a couple of inches. Overall, I mean, yeah, I might have made a couple of minor mistakes, but I think it was just partially just the deployment, really, that scuppered me, because everything was too far away to run all the way across the board.
Especially considering I had a more ranged heavy army, I was always inclined to...
Yeah, and it didn't really affect you all that much. I could have deployed your units to something. I could have perhaps put the 2 ranged units in opposite corners so they wouldn't have been next to each other. You would have be forced to protect one or the other from the Chariot rather than being able to do both, really. Because you were always intending to just stay on your side of the board, it didn't really affect you that much. Whereas putting my slow Stormcast units in the corner meant that they just never really got close enough to do anything. Well, they got there in the end, but like Gardas, for example, would have been better off closer.
Yeah, and I was able to eventually deal with the Chariot.
We were helped a little bit by a double, because rolling a 1 on a run for a Stormcast is quite bad when you're trying to get somewhere quickly, so being able to auto run 6 is quite handy when you start off slow in the first place. And you used it to good effect as well, like running the Killbow away. But I think redeploy was the more key thing. I could have used redeploy in theory to move my units closer to you, but I don't think you ended many moves within 9 of me, so perhaps I could have done that if I'd thought a bit harder about it, but I don't think it was that important. Or either that or when I was close to you I was always in melee, so I couldn't have used it. My plan really was to move the Chariot up as fast as possible and be annoying and hopefully tie up one of your ranged units, but yeah, just because you managed to get the Hobgrots into position, you were able to stop it.
I found a use for the Hobgrots. It's getting in the way.
Yes, and redeploy means you can arrange them in an annoying manner, which is handy. I do like things like redeploy as a command ability because it is something you do in your opponent's turn, which makes the game a bit more interactive, but it also means that you have to be a bit more careful with movement and how order you move things and where you move them. It makes the game more tactical, basically. But because it costs you command points, it does force you to make a decision about what to do with them as well.
Yeah, and we actually got to see some of the other heroic abilities. I got heroic recovery twice. Killer Boss took a lot of damage this game.
Yeah.
And heroic willpower came in as well. And finest hour, so got to see all the heroic abilities.
Yeah. I mean, at this point we're still mostly just getting more command points than we can use, but that will change.
Yeah. But we have our new terrain pieces. They don't really have any extra rules over the primal layer. They do look nice. Adds a bit more variety at least. And they're not weirdly hexagonal.
They are still just more kind of scattered terrain, really. They're just small pieces that make the board look a bit more interesting and provide a bit of sort of movement hindrance. But it's still, compared to the other collections we've had so far, we're still fairly terrain poor, I think. In Mortal Realms in particular, we had an entire graveyard by this point and we were starting to get some ruined buildings, whereas with this, we've still just got sort of incidental pieces. It's not essential for Age of Sigmar to have lots of terrain, but...
It makes it harder to use covered in mud, but that's kind of it, really. They are nice pieces at the very least. Fairly quick to paint up as well. Yeah, otherwise, I don't think there's too much more to say about this game or this issue. I think we covered it fairly thoroughly. So, if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. Leave any comments. Tell us if you've been getting on with Stormbringer. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.